Welcome everyone to oldtalkersandgeeks.com. Justin here back with the season finale of Pinfall Rewind. We'll be taking a break because it's UWL season, and yet we'll give you all your wrestling needs. So UWL will be taking over as always, and Pinfall Rewind will return after the conclusion of UWL. So my friends, we are going to be concluding season 1 of Pinfall Rewind with the sequel to WWF SmackDown with WWF SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. And this was released in November of 2000, and the PlayStation was nearing the end of its life cycle. The PlayStation 2 had just launched, developers were already pivoting to new hardware, and many assumed the big budget titles would slow down on Sony's first console. Then came WWF SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, a wrestling game that not only became the most successful grappling title on the system, but also one of the best-selling combat sports games of all time. Developed by Ukes and published by THQ, Know Your Role was more than just a sequel. It was a time capsule, capturing the height of the WWF Attitude Era and all its chaotic, unpredictable glory. With a huge roster, expanded creation tools, and a hell of a season mode that attempted to replicate the soap opera nature of weekly WWF television, the game became a fixture for fans of both gaming and pro wrestling. 2 decades later, its legacy still holds weight. So the development cycle of Know Your Role was shockingly short. Its predecessors, WWF SmackDown, had only been released in March 2000. Yet by November of the same year, a full sequel was ready to hit store shelves. That's an 8-month gap, practically unheard of for a major release. The quick turnaround was possible because Ukes already had the foundation in place. The first SmackDown introduced a fast paced engine built for arcade style grappling, one that stood in a sharp contrast to the slower, simulation heavy WWF Warzone and WWF Attitude from Acclaim. The new SmackDown series felt modern, accessible, and exciting. For the sequel, Yuke sought not only to reinvent the wheel, but to expand. They wanted to add more match types, more customizations, and a season mode that could give players a taste of the ongoing drama that they saw weekly on Raw and SmackDown. The result was a game that felt both familiar and fresh in a true bigger and better sequel in every sense of the word. And man, was it glorious. Little issues there, but we'll talk a little bit about the gameplay. But man, SmackDown 2, when this game dropped, when I tell you my friends stopped playing No Mercy, because we were playing No Mercy heavy. We were going back from No Mercy and SmackDown back and forth. And when I tell you that when my friends stopped playing this, when my friends were just like, yo, we're playing SmackDown, all because of that multiplayer season mode, I would always remember it was me, my brother, Dez, and I think Dez's brother Ryan, and we all had a stable, and that shit was so fire. Like all four of us had a stable. It was funny because we always used to joke around that some of us wasn't getting booked, other people were on, but when you saw the cut scene of all of us in a damn locker room. Yo, when I tell you that shit was fire for us back in 2000s, it was revolutionary, man. But let's talk a little bit about the gameplay because at its core, Know Your Role Preserve made the first game quick, click. Quick grappling mechanics that emphasize accessibility over complexity. Players didn't need to memorize endless button combos. Instead, they could jump in, perform grapples, strikes, finishers, and reversals, and feel like they were immediately in control. But the sequel added much more depth through the match variety. For the first time on PlayStation, players could compete in the tables match, casket match, Hell in a Cell, Iron Man bouts. These additions turned living rooms into arenas of mayhem with friends gleefully smashing on one another through tables, tossing each other from the top of a cell. Backstage areas, whoo! Man, the backstage areas was huge. Huge. Like it felt like a mall. It really did. Like you explored this entire arena from parking lots, locker rooms, interview sets, boiler rooms, playgrounds of destruction, letting players recreate the kind of wild brawls that defined the Attitude Era. Chairs, tables, other weapons made the carnage feel authentic to what was happening weekly on WWF television. Now, we have to talk about season mode because season mode was glorious. Still one of my favorite season modes of all time. If it wasn't for that goddamn low time, can we talk about the low time real quick? The low time in season mode and just SmackDown 2 was brutal, brutal, brutal. Not only that, it loaded for every single thing that you did, especially in season mode. Go to rankings, load, leave it, load, story mode, load to press skip. It loaded for almost everything. It was brutal, but one of the most ambitious elements of Know Your Role was its season mode. Wrestling fans don't just watch wrestling for the matches, they watch for the storylines, rivalries, betrayals, and alliances. And you try to capture the spirit with a sprawling mode that lets players guide a superstar or create a superstar or several through a calendar year of WWF programming. Gone was the preseason of the first game, replaced was a full schedule of Raw and SmackDown and pay per view events. Each show multiple matches, branching storylines, and unlockables tied to progress. Championships could be won and defended, alliances could be formed, and wrestlers could rise or fall depending on how the season played out, such as your rankings. You lose, you go down on the rankings. Up to 4 players could participate at the same time, like I said, which made it social experience unlike most wrestling games. Friends can create their own factions, chase championships, or sabotage one on other paths. However, the season mode wasn't flawless. Watching computer versus computer matches slowly drain health bars while waiting for your next appearance could be tedious. Cutscenes, while entertaining at first, grew repetitive over time. That is a major downfall, but it's still a classic. Still, for players in 2000, the ambition was undeniable. It was the closest thing to living inside the WWF soap opera. And like I said, season mode was a banger. You had key moments such as Stone Cold returning and blowing up the DX box. I mean, DX box, DX bus. You had such other key moments in there as well. With like The Rock actually had a soundbite where he says, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking." You had Shawn Michaels return with the Iron Man match. Things went a little bit differently, obviously, in season mode of the game, but there were key elements in this game that I was just like, man, this was so well done. Not to mention they had a ton of new features where Know Your Role truly distinguished itself from the creative suite was from the original SmackDown and other games in general was not only the creative superstar mode, but the sequel got rid of those templates and instead we got to really do a lot more customization here. And you have more options than ever, letting players to customize attire, appearances, choose their moves. You had to create a move set, which allowed players to build entirely new repertoires from scratch, piecing together entrances, finishers, and even taunts. You had to create a taunt, which was good, but it was wonky at times. But you can add your own personal flair to your wrestle, which is great. And then create a stable, which gave fans the power to group up 4 superstars into a faction, echoing the popularity of DX, Nation of Domination, Right to Censor. Just to give you examples of what stables used to be. And you also had to create a manager. Managers can be assigned, further grounding the WWF authenticity. So the roster itself was staggering. Nearly every major name of the era was included. Just to name a few guys: The Rock, Triple H, Undertaker, Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero. You had unlockable characters in season mode like Shawn Michaels, and you had templates for wrestlers like Big Daddy Cool Diesel that you can unlock. So it did offer so much in this. And as far as the graphics go, it didn't really reinvent the series, but it did polish what was already there. Wrestling models were sharper, entrances looked better, and the readers had more detail. The backstage areas, while blocky by today's standards, were thrilling in their interactivity. The audio package was solid. Entrance themes, crowd chants, and impact sounds all helped capture the energy of WWF programming. The absence of commentary was noticeable, but given the PlayStation's limited hardware, it wasn't a deal breaker. And by the standards of 2000, the game looked and sounded like a true WWF broadcast squeezed into a disc. Now, let's talk a little bit about the replay value because the truth of the strength is Know Your Role till this day is replayable. I can play 2K25 film UWL, and then head back to season mode and WWF SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. It's just that damn good. Between the vast roster, the unlockables, the max types, and just the way that backstage area that like I miss the backstage areas like this. Yes, we got the fighting in the crowd in 2K, but we need to get that back, like where we can transition in the Anywhere Falls match and go back without doing these backstage brawl bullshit. Bring that back, 2K. If you ever get a glimpse of this, bring that shit back. But final thoughts on this before we do a match. Looking back, WWF SmackDown 2 wasn't just a sequel, it was the peak of wrestling on the PlayStation, a game that gave fans the power to live out the chaos that they saw every week on WWF television. Its season mode hinted at the narrative possibilities of wrestling games. Its Creation Sweep empowered fans to unleash their imaginations, and it matched variety made every night in the ring to feel fresh. Yes, the load times were, God, unforgivingly long. The cutscenes repetitive, the graphics primitive by today's standards, but none of that stopped us from playing this classic. For wrestling fans in the 2000s, this was as close as you got to experiencing the WWF. And for the retro gamers in 2025, I say it's a worth to visit. Now, with that being said, my friends, some of you requested that I show you a glimpse of season mode for the gameplay section, so that's what we're gonna do. Let's play season mode on WWF's 2 SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. All right, it's time to take a look at season mode here, and for time purposes, this is an edited video. I did cut out all the loading screens, so you will see a storyline, a cohesive storyline of what's happening. So The Rock just got attacked backstage. We don't know what happened to The Rock. We just know that he was attacked by some unknown person. So here's my guy, Jay Will, aka the Destroyer back in the days. Little Easter egg for my UWL fans. And Rock has twisted his knee. And now the announcement that The Rock has suffered an incident backstage and won't be competing tonight. Vince McMahon is here to make changes to the match. This is all, keep in mind, this would have took forever with the constant loading. So I cut it so we could get straight to the point. But here, I will be facing Unknown A. We used to hate these matches, man, because Unknown just like really, there's a purpose for it because it really helps you unlock other parts for creative wrestlers and other things such as taunts. But we hated this because it stopped the flow of the actual storyline that was happening, and it just got so annoying and so tedious at the same time. So yeah, this is something that I will love. Well, let's get into it. So Destroyer, Jay Will the Destroyer, back in the days before he was really Jay Will, he was the Destroyer. And for UWL wrestler fans out there that's on the channel, we gave the name the Destroyer to Xander the Destroyer, who keeps the moniker. I wanted to keep that Destroyer name, so we gave it to a new guy, Xander. But right now, Jay Will facing Unknown A. Let's just call him Al. Al, and just so you can see just the improvement. Graphics are the same, but the way it runs, there's so much you can even do now match-wise. And this is an I Quit match. I think I did that for the last one too, but I'm gonna take y'all backstage because I want to show you all how huge. I'm not going everywhere because we'll be here all day. And plus, with the loading time, I'm not going to every single element of the backstage area. But I do want to show you how huge this backstage area is in the game here. But first, something that was new was the table spots that were introduced here. As you saw me just using the announce table right there against Unknown A, who just picked up the microphone, but the Destroyer down. And this is, I'm actually surprised because that I remembered how to make him. This is exactly how he looked, folks, 25 years ago. So the fact that I still had it in my memory, like, oh yeah, let me see. Like, I remember he had the do-rag. I remember he had the hair in the back, and he had the blue and black attire. And this has always been Jay Will's type of aesthetic, not with a do-rag though, but because the hair was sucky. But yeah, this has always been like Jay Will's attire. But I'm just gonna keep going backstage. Before you had the Irish whip them, now all you have to do is stand on the red arrow and it wait a little bit for it to load up to blue, and you could just go backstage. And now here we are, just a huge, bigger backstage area. Let me just run around so you can see. You can go that way. I believe that led to the outside. That way was the parking lot. There was a restaurant you can go into over here. WWF New York, which was in the basement, sub-basement level. I mean, there was so much to do backstage. If the loading time wasn't as brutal, I will take you everywhere whipping Unknown A's ass, but I am not going everywhere here. Absolutely not, folks. I am sorry. But yeah, JO with the DDT there. But it's just phenomenal. The fact that they even have the sprites of the fans watching from the audience from the restaurant as well. You know what, let's go upstairs. It's just an amazing feat. And keep in mind, this was still running on a PlayStation 1 power. The 2 is way bigger, what you'll see in the season premiere when we do Just Bring It. But it is just like, you have the VIP room, which is Vince's room, the dressing room, you have the locker room. There's another room over there which I didn't get the chance to see. Oh no, that's blocked off. Or maybe that's the boiler room. I think that's the boiler room. Yeah, but you have a lot of areas in here to just play around with. This is a daunting backstage area here in the locker room. JO with the DDT and the will now. Looking for that microphone. This could be it for Unknown A. No, Unknown A with those chops. JO, missing it. JO with those hits. No, missing it. Unknown A. And fun fact, the Unknown A, that's the outfit me, my brother Dez, and us, my whole wrestling gang, we use that to create Diesel or Kevin Nash. I believe we did Kevin Nash in this one. But yeah, we use that actual attire to create Kevin Nash, because we had the whole WCW gang in this game for sure. We created as much people as we could make them look like as possible, man, because they did have a little bit of the template here, and Unknown A should be able to say I quit, and that is it, folks. So gave you a glimpse of season mode, a little abridged version of it, because we was not going to sit here and wait for all these load times like we're doing right now. Like, look how long it's taking just to get me back in the ring to do my victory celebration. But it was such a pleasure, folks. Thank you for supporting just Pinfall Rewind, everything so far with these new playlists. I'm having so much fun reliving a lot of stuff from my past, and hopefully for the younger audience, you can go back and play these things to see where us unks and old heads used to play and what we went through while you're enjoying your 2K25s. So this is Justin from otakusandgeeks.com. This has been the season finale of Pinfall Rewind for season 1. We did it. We made it. Stay tuned, folks. UWL is coming back sooner than you think. I will make an announcement on our community board here, so stay tuned. And we're just finishing editing. We've been filming a lot, so we got a lot of episodes in the chamber, but I'm going to sign off here. If you like what we do here, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and also try out the new hype feature. Press hype. Get this up, folks. Thank you very much. Love you all. Peace.